Hi, folks. Dan Bird with the Daily Scan here on Wednesday, April 23rd. And as I mentioned yesterday, I'm on a road trip. I'll show you where I am in just a minute. But first, let's take a look at what's happening with the market. We had another nice little rally, but it pulled back at the end. So I have to be careful right now. It's very interesting where it pulled back from. I'll show you that in a minute. So we're kind of hanging in there, hanging on a cliff, waiting to see if we're going to go higher or lower. As always, I am not a financial advisor, so anything that I say is for educational purposes only. I am not making any recommendations to buy or sell anything. Nobody knows what the market's going to do, including me. So you have to make your own investment decisions. So let's take a look at what happened today. Actually, before I do that, let me show you where I am. There's where I am. Valdosta, Georgia, right here. Oops. Let me go back. There we go. So started down here in Florida, and now we're in Georgia, and we are going to continue to move further north. I'll keep everybody updated if I can do a video. I can't guarantee I can do one every day, but if I can, I'll show you where I am. So that's where I'm at right now. All right, let's take a look at the market, see what it's doing. First thing you should notice on the home page is the market bias is ticking up slightly. So we're starting to get a little bit of movement to the upside. And if you look at for those that are subscribers on the market bias page, I pointed this out yesterday that the short term and the medium term are both starting to move higher. And the short term actually started to go up even more steeply today. And you can see most of the bullish signals are in the short term column. There's one in the medium term, but actually there are no bearish signals today. So that's a good sign. And if you look at the week over week and day over day and week over week trend right here, you can see we now have two green boxes. Still yellow or cautionary in the overall market, and certainly red in the long term, but the short and the medium term have both turned green. So could this mean that we might continue going higher? Well, let's take a look and find out. First, let's look at the indexes, S&P, and this is pretty much what most everything looks like today. Had a nice rally today, gap up, moved higher most of the day, but then look what happened. At the end of the day, it pulled all the way back and actually closed lower than it opened. So that is a shooting star candle, which many times is a reversal or a failed breakout, but it's sitting right on the 21 day. So it's just below this trend line. And I mentioned this yesterday that we have to get through the trend line. We have to get through the 21. We're right on the 21 now. So this is, I still think, indecision. The market wants to go higher, it looks like, but there's lots of resistance. So all these people back here, they get caught in this downtrend. They all want to break even. So when it came back up to the same low, same level that they were at right there, then everybody sold out and it went back down again by the end of the day. Let's actually look at this on let's see, a 10-minute chart. Where's my 10-minute chart? Right here. Yeah, there you go. So there's the 10-minute. You can see big gap up in the morning and then sold off pretty much from 10 o'clock until noon. Tried to make another little rally and then went back down again and ended kind of where at the lows. So a little disappointing. It couldn't maintain that uptrend. Pull back a little bit. I don't know if there was any news. I was driving all day, so I don't know what's happening in the market. I'm just showing you what the charts look like. And this pretty much is telling me that try to have a rally, but there were lots of sellers once it reached this level right up here, 54.50. All right, let's go back and look at the NASDAQ 100. This will look similar. So this is not quite a shooting star, but it got right to the downtrend line and pulled back right to the 21 day. So tomorrow is going to be really important. Tomorrow is confirmation to see whether we are going to blast through this area or we come back down again. We'll find out. There's a big gap right there that has to be filled or should be filled at some point. So we'll watch that. Russell 2000, same thing. It went up and hit that downtrend line almost exactly and then pull back. And that is a shooting star candle sitting right on the 21 day again. So that's what everything looks like today, except of course, Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a great day, last 2 days, great day. Today, it just kind of stalled a little bit. That's a spinning top, so that means indecision. So it's a battle between the bulls and the bears for Bitcoin, but it could also be a continuation pattern. It could just be a rest until it takes off and goes up to that 100K target that I mentioned yesterday. But we'll see if that happens. Tomorrow will be very important for confirmation on all of these signals to see what they do. Now, one thing I want to show you, which I talked about yesterday when I did seasonality, I showed you the comparison between 2022 and 2025. But what I've actually done now is put some numbers to this. So what you see now in this case is the pink line in the background is 2022. The red line in the foreground is 2025. You can see how closely they are mirroring each other, although 25 started about 6 weeks later than 22 did. But it's dropping just like 22 did. And in 2022, right here in the middle of March, we had a 12% rally. Well, we're six weeks behind right now. So our rally is beginning now. And if we get the same mirror as 22, then this is roughly where it should go to. So that would pretty much look the same as 22, and that's what's left of this rally that potentially could get up here before heading lower again. Now, it doesn't mean that it will mirror 22. It doesn't have to. The market doesn't know where I draw these lines or what these lines look like. So it doesn't have to continue just like 22 did. But if it does, these are the areas to watch. And we'll continue to watch this. I might actually look at this each day. This is actually updated as of today. So today's little rally is included in this chart. If we do mirror 22, then we're going back down to a low, and then we're going to get a 19% rally. In this case, it began in June. With 6 weeks behind, it should begin sometime in the end of July, probably the last week of July. We might get a 19% rally before going to another low. Now, somebody asked me, they said, some people have said the S&P could get to 4,500. Well, I looked at the numbers, and in 2022, the S&P went down 27.5% from the high. If 25 were to mirror 22, then 27.5% target would be 4,450. So yes, it absolutely could get to the 4,500 area. And if it does that, I don't think it's going to stay there very long. I think it will probably, and I'll show you why in a minute, but I think it will probably, if it gets there, and there's no guarantee that it will, but if it gets there, then you can see where the potential 25 bottom would be. 6 weeks delayed would put it about the last week of November, Thanksgiving week, essentially, before we get a really big rally into the end of the year. So we'll continue to watch that and see what happens. But let's take a look at, let me see here. Let's see if I can get out of my, there we go. All right, let's take a look at the S&P again. And we're going to look at this on a weekly chart. So this is a longer term view. So let's take a look at where 4450 would be. 4450 would be roughly right about there, right there where that horizontal line is. Now you can see there's some clear support in that area roughly, although support actually is a little higher. One right there at about 4,600 and one right here at about 4,750. So the actual support is somewhere in that zone. I can actually draw a box around that area. and take a look at what it looks like. So somewhere between here and here, that's pretty much the support zone. You can see we came down right to it on the big downtrend right here. And that day was pretty much a washout day. I showed you that on another chart yesterday. 4450 or 4500 would be right down here. That would be below the 200 week moving average, which would, if it stayed there into the end of the month, would end the secular bull market. And that's why I say it won't, I don't think it's going to stay there. In fact, it may not even get there. We may actually right now be in a higher low, like I pointed out yesterday. That's what we want to see for a new uptrend. So we might not even get back to the lows down here. So we'll continue to watch it. But right now, the market is a little indecisive. There's lots of overhead resistance that it has to get through. So all of this up here, it has to get through still, including the 200-day again. So it's got a lot of work to do, but had a nice little rally today, pull back at the end. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. All right, so that's pretty much it for tonight. Thanks for watching. I know it's an abbreviated session. It probably will be as I'm on the road. But let me know if you have any questions or anything you would like for me to look at. I'd be happy to do that. And stay safe, everybody. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.